everyone, my name is Lydia and I am here to talk to you today about critique partners. Now, critique partners are a wonderful thing, and I'm not sure it's a term that's really widely known by people outside of the writing community. I actually didn't know the term until about a year and a half, probably 2 years ago is the first time I heard the term critique partner. And I wasn't really sure what it meant. And then I looked it up and I realized I had critique partners already. So some people call them editors, some people call them betas. I'm sure they have a lot of different names, but critique partner is actually different than a beta or an editor. A critique partner is exactly what it sounds like. It's someone that you've partnered with, and it's usually a mutually beneficial relationship where it's you and another writer critiquing each other's work. I think sometimes you can have a critique partner where it's not necessarily mutually beneficial, like they're just editing your work. I felt like I had some of those for a time, but now I've actually been able to critique their work. So they've since written manuscripts, which has been very fun. So I'd like to talk a little bit about like the benefits of critique partners and what they're there for. I'm not saying I'm the best critique partner, but I have definitely been a critique partner many times. So I have, I think between 5 and 6 critique partners that I currently work with. What happens with a critique partner is that you are both writing manuscripts. Different times maybe, different kinds of things, but you're both writing and you're both going to give each other constructive feedback on each other's work. And that can come in a multitude of fashions. It can be big picture advice, it can be, talking through problems with one another, it can be line edits even. That's potentially a lot to assume of a critique partner, but almost everyone that I'm a critique partner with will line edit each other's work. So it's a lot of work, but it is extremely helpful. Critique partners are different than editors or beta readers because editors, it's their job to edit your work. You're not doing it for them. Usually they work for the publishing company, I believe, and they're paid to do this. That's their job. And they also kind of have some authority with you. Like, you kind of have to do some of the changes your editor says because you're getting your book published there. Like, you need to, edit your work so that the publishing house is happy with it and your editor's happy with it. And it's different than beta readers because beta readers are readers. They're not usually writers. Sometimes they can be writers, but usually they are readers and you're getting a reader point of view feedback on your book. Like, they're not there to edit it. They're not necessarily even there to catch craft mistakes or whatever. They're there to let you go, hey, I read this book that I'm supposed to be enjoying and here are my thoughts, like they would any other book. So that's kind of the difference between beta readers and editors and critique partners, and I know some people use all those terms interchangeably, but that's kind of what I can tell the basic difference there. Often critique partners are your writer friends or some of your writer friends. That's how it's worked out for me, at least. Usually if my closer friends who are really into writing, we are critique partners for each other. I think critique partners are a necessity, and if you don't have one, you should get one. And I know some people really struggle with finding critique partners. I mean, it's a lot of work you're asking someone to do. It's kind of a working relationship you're signing up for. But if you want to get a book published or self-publish, I would say especially if you want to self-publish your book, you need to have critique partners, because you can write your book and, maybe get a good draft and get some, query it and get some agent to pick it up, and then you'll have an editor who will help you make that book better. But if you're self-publishing, you're not going to have an editor. And even if you have someone who will edit it or some beta readers, you need other writers to look at your work and help you edit it, help you make it the best that it can be, because you can't see things with your own writing. Like, we all have this struggle. We all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. And that kind of leads me to my next point of finding critique partners, multiple, with different strengths. Now, not everyone can do this. I mean, it's hard enough to find a critique partner, right? Much less multiple critique partners, much less multiple critique partners like with different strengths. It can't always be done. But I would say, even if you can't maybe cherry pick your critique partners, start to realize what their strengths are, because that will really help you with their feedback, like with taking their feedback, I would say. Because sometimes a critique partner is going to be better at you than X thing, but sometimes they're going to be worse, potentially. So that's going to help you not get bent out of shape with their feedback. If you know so-and-so struggles with world building, or maybe just have different tastes when it comes to that kind of thing, you're maybe not going to ask them for their opinion about your world building, or, you're going to take their advice with a grain of salt. But they are super great at sentence structure, and they are going to call you out anytime that scene doesn't make any sense, then that's what they're going to be able to help your story with. So I think that's huge. Almost all of my critique partners have different strengths from each other and different strengths from me, and I know that's just going to make my writing better. I know I am terrible at catching typos and grammatical mistakes. I'm here for the story. That's why I'm a writer. I do not love words in English class. No. I see words as paint so that I can paint my scenes. And it's paint that I struggle with, quite frankly, sometimes. So I know that some of my friends are great at grammar, and I know they are gonna... I'm very thankful for their willingness to plow through my poorly worded story and correct it for me. I'm very appreciative of that, because I miss words all the time, and I read fast, so I don't see them. I have other people who help me with plot holes, and some people help me with clarity and sentence structure, and some people help me with consistent character development. All of these things are different parts of craft, and no one excels at all parts of craft. And maybe that's a different video for a different day, but we all have our strong points. If you can find what the strong point is for your critique partner, you can glean so much of that strength and just put it right into your story. I have a couple tips on how to be a good critique partner. Number one, it's not even just for critique partners, this is a life hack, okay? When someone is asking you to critique something that they have poured blood, sweat, and tears into it, you need to look for the beauty as well as the mistakes. You need to tell them the good while trying to help them fix the bad. It's not about your ego. It's not about being able to spot all the bad things. It's about helping their thing, which is theirs, not yours, become the best possible version of itself, because you want them as a person to succeed. One of the ways to do this, it's really helpful when you're, marking up someone's work, is to leave notes on the things you loved or liked, as well as the things that need to be correcting. That's so huge, because it can, even the people you love the most, when they're just tearing down, not that that's what they're doing, but that's what it feels like they're doing, something that you gave birth to in a way, it can feel like an attack. You can start to be wow, they really think a lot of themselves. It's ridiculous. You can start to have all these feelings. You can start to feel like you're a crap writer. So as you're going through all the things that you have to fix, to read a comment that's oh my gosh, that was funny, I loved this, or you did this really well, that's huge, because then all of a sudden you're oh yeah, I can do this. I'm not saying lie, I'm just saying you have to help that person become a better writer, and that book become a better book, And part of that is finding out what's gold in it, you know, like you're helping the gold shine through. The compliment sandwich is a just do it. It's huge. You know, you tell them how much you love the thing, you tell them what needs to be worked on, and then you wrap it up with how the good things about the story, you know, like that show them that you can see the worth in what they're doing, because then they're going to be more receptive to your words, and they're also going to believe that you're trying to help them as opposed to just trying to tear them down. You know, they're going to believe that you don't think their story is crap and should just be deleted. There is no place for YouTube, Reddit, comment type critique partners. You know, like no one needs to be told everything that's wrong with their book. And I realize that's like kind of why you send your manuscript out to people to work on, but no one needs you to just point out everything you don't like. Another helpful tip for editing someone else's work is to respect it as someone else's work, to find out what the point is they want for that work and to respect it. And also, don't reword everything how you would write, you know? There is not one right way of writing. As much as, you know, we tend to fall into this mindset with our craft books and, you know, our grammar rules and everything. Everyone has a different tone, everyone has a different writing style, and that's not wrong just because it's not yours. So try to respect someone else's voice as long as they're not breaking some kind of huge rule unintentionally. Just because they're not writing something the way you would write it, it doesn't mean it's wrong. And that takes a lot of reading, I think, as well as just, you know, practice editing. But it takes a lot of reading to be able to realize there's all sorts of different writing styles, and they're all good potentially. Another thing is not everyone should be a critique partner for everybody. I mean, some people rub each other the wrong way. Some people aren't going to get your work. You're not going to get their work. It doesn't exactly mean that anyone's wrong in that situation. You would never naturally read their books. They would never naturally read your books. And while sometimes you can get past that, maybe you just aren't fit to be critique partners. Or you do it once or twice and then you just don't really have time to do that, you know, and don't be offended by that. Don't be offended by that because someone's saying they don't want to be your critique partner. It could just be that they're busy. It is a big, big time commitment. It's a worthwhile time commitment because if it is a mutually beneficial thing, you're going to get all that feedback back on your work. But it is a huge time commitment, especially if you have a full-time job. I have a full-time job and I have 6 critique partners. That cuts into my writing time a lot. But it's worth it because it's all their feedback is going to make my work so much better. And I enjoy that work. I mean, it's work, but it's enjoyable work. I like trying to help my friends' projects be the best they can be. Like, it's very fulfilling to me. But also, it's, you know, they might be too busy or they just might not think they can help you, you know, that we're not all qualified to do all things. And the last thing they might want to do is edit something that they can't appreciate, because then it's just going to look like they're just dragging you through the mud if they try to, you know. It's better in that case for them to go like, this isn't my cup of tea, this isn't for me. Find someone who loves this kind of story to edit it so that it can be the best that it can be. Because tearing something to shreds because you don't like that genre or you can't stand that kind of writing style isn't going to make that story any better. That story's not meant for you. So yeah, there's all sorts of kinds of critique partners, and all sorts of different levels. Some people are more just kind of picky up people. Some people are more, you know, here's everything you need to fix. The best kind are usually somewhere in the middle. But yeah, some people do big picture edits. Some people will read your story and then give you a list of things to go through and look for. Some people will line edit for you. These are all extremely, extremely valuable and worth it, honestly. I mean, what you're willing to do might depend on the partner. You have different levels to a certain degree. Some of my critique partners I'll talk to during my process. I'll burden them with all my problems. We'll go back and forth, and it's actually a delight. I don't think they think it's a burden. I don't think it's a burden when they do it to me. It's a delightful process of, communicating while you're in it. And then some people, I don't really talk about my writing with them until it's gotten to a certain point, and then I give it to them, and they'll, either do the line edits or they'll do the big picture stuff, and that's the same for me and some other people as well. Like, my relationship with my critique partners is different, and the work that I put into it is all kind of varied depending on what they even want from me. So, yeah, all this to say, critique partners are fantastic. They are a necessity to writing. They're a necessity to editing, especially because it's hard to edit your own work. It's hard to see the flaws in your own work, or it's hard to see the good in it. Both is usually true for me. And they give you a different perspective, and they will help you make your work be the best it can be. And if they're good ones, they will offer you support along the way. And if you're an author or a writer, get yourself some critique partners, because having people on the same journey as you, even if it's a bit different, is huge to push you on your way and better you as an author or a writer, and just as a person. So yeah, I am in favor of critique partners. Katytastic, I believe it was on her channel, she meets with some other authors, and she does like a live stream show where they discuss writing, and they did one recently on critique partners, and it was great because I've been really thinking on what it means to be a critique partner a lot lately, and I really enjoyed listening to their show, and they go into a lot more depth than I did here about it. So I can link that below. Check it out. They're awesome. They have great content to watch on YouTube. So yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say today. Leave a comment below. Let me know. Do you have a critique partner? Have you had good experiences, bad experiences? What is the number one thing you look for in a critique partner? Have a great day, and thanks for watching my video.